So the first question is, was Endangered Species Act designed only to protect animals or something else?
Yeah, there are two things that you have to keep in mind when we are talking about Endangered Species Act. The Endangered Species Act was first rolled out in United States of America. It wasn't for India, or it wasn't. It was meant for the American, land. And when they were talking about Endangered Species Act, they were rolling out mostly for the endangered animals as such. And then later they realized, as everybody else has realized, that when we talk about species, or when we talk about wildlife, or when we talk about living organisms, all these are not just animals but also plants. So later, in the later amendments, they have brought in plants also. So ESA as such, in the beginning when it was rolled out by America, it was basically focusing on animals, but later they also realized that plants needs to also be included, and later amendments has included the plants. So ESA is one of the oldest acts in the world by a country that focuses on conservation of species which are threatened to extinction, and thus those kind of species, in general parlance or general terminology, we call them as threatened species. But and among the threatened species also, at that time when they started, they were all known as endangered species. Endangering is to be in danger. These species were in the danger of what? Becoming extinct by what? By the threats that are acting upon them. So that is how Endangered Species Act was formulated in America. And slowly, when different governments started understanding these kind of impacts of human activity, impacts of activities that lead to change in habitats, etc., how they are impacting the wild animals and wild, flora. So they started thinking about, conservation and all such kind of things. So it is a big history as such. But beginning of the 20th century, we started seeing many countries realizing, although in 19th century also many so-called developed countries now at the various provisions to protect endangered species, or various provisions to protect endangered habitats, etc. But the whole idea of holistic approach towards protection, giving protection, was brought in by the understanding of the ESA of United States of America. That's the Endangered Species Act in brief, right? You're on mute. Yeah. No.
The second question is the world a safe place for animals and plants? Why and why not?
I would want answers from you. As an expert, I can give you a wonderful answer, but what in your opinion as students, or what in your opinion as young generation that is going to take up, how the world and the society needs to be driven in future, what do you feel? What do you feel?
I think it's not safe still.
Okay, so you don't have to have an expert commenting about it, right? So any non PhD or non scientist can also tell you that world is not a safe place, and why it is not a safe place needs to be understood. One of the most important things that we have to understand is the thought process that we as human beings have with respect to all the other natural resources. Unfortunately, because of our belief systems, be it Hindu belief system, or the Christian belief system, or Islamic belief system, or any other belief system that you might be knowing about and you might not be also knowing about, because of our belief systems, we think that we are supreme. We all these belief systems have ingrained in us. They have trained us to think that somebody called God sitting up there has created this whole universe for our pleasure, which is unfortunately wrong. The belief systems are very deeply ingrained in our heads. Although, I have seen lots of PhDs, lots of, wonderful scientists who might have got, or who might be doing good Nobel Prize winning kind of, research. Yet they believe that there is somebody with long hair and long beard sitting up there doing everything for us and all such kind of things. So the belief system of that is ingrained in us in the past 12,000 years in the human species has made human beings think that we are supreme organisms. And when that supremacy belief comes into us, what we start thinking is everything other than human beings have been made for us, for our pleasure, for our consumption. And that is where the what you say conflict arises. The conflict is when people are saying that, no, we are integral part of, ask me as a zoologist, ask me as a conservation biologist, I always say that, I'm not supreme. You can be supreme, you might be supreme. Those of you who believe that you are supreme, be supreme. But I am not supreme. I'm a, highly evolved, or very quickly I had been favored by natural selection, and as a species I became intelligent. That's all. That intelligence doesn't mean that I should be destroying the very, base on which my life depends upon. What would happen if I destroy my forest? I will not get, timber, or I'll not get my what do you say, water. You know the link between forest, rainfall, and water table, etc., etc., all those things. I don't have to tell you nitty gritties about all these things. But what we have to understand is the the whole of the ecosystem is a well balanced and well maintained, mechanism or machinery, in which we are also a simple part, a small part, right? And just give me a second, I and machinery and all those things. So in this whole machinery, we have to remember that human species is not supreme, but human species is also a part of the component. So we are a very small cog. That is what you have to remember. We are a, a, a screw in the whole machinery. That is what we have to remember. And we are not the heart. We are not the brain. We are just a tissue. We are just a cell. See, millions and millions of species are there. Similarly, we are also one species. But unfortunately, or fortunately, either way, the understanding swings both ways. So, from human beings' point of view, we think that we have become supreme for a reason, not only because somebody has given all these things to us, but also we start thinking that other animals do not behave like us. So biologically, other animals do not behave like us for a reason that they behave more, intelligently than us. Unfortunately, they don't kind of, make that discrimination. Have you seen any ants going to universities or colleges? For that matter of fact, any of wild animal. Okay, you are taking your dog pets to crash because you are not able to manage them. You are having, today we also have pet crashes because you are not able to manage your, pets at home. You are depositing that in the crash, going to college or going to work, come back, collect the pet, just like babies, right? What we are doing, we are training the dogs. But if you look at dog outside, which is like, what you say, feral, that means that they are not domesticated. Although they live with you in the human society, they are not domesticated. When you look at the domesticated feral dog, you will see very clearly that these dogs also have intelligence, right?
Right.
Because when you're driving and they see that there is a car coming or a vehicle coming, they move out. If they were not intelligent, they might be sitting over there. Did you teach any traffic police wala taught them that you should walk on the left side of the road or you should stop when the car is coming and all such kind of things? No. So you have to understand that animals are also very, very intelligent. Animals also know that, but unfortunately or fortunately for human beings, we had to set up these systems that has created our or boosted our ego in such a manner that we think that we are the most intelligent. That's the reason why When we were naming ourselves, we also named ourselves as an intellectual human being, right? Homo sapiens. See, look, when Carl Linnaeus named ourselves, he said that we are the intelligent species. So, unfortunately, that is a bias. As a zoologist, as a biologist, I would say that is a bias. We are not intelligent because we have created roads, we have created this, we have created that, and all such kind of things. But if you look very carefully, observe very carefully ants functioning, you will see that how ants have, army ants, how ants have ants that are meant only for breeding, how ants are meant, there are a population of ants in an ant colony that is meant only for feeding the young one, taking care of the young one. Then you have a queen ant that is given the, what do you say, the responsibility of breeding the next generation. And ants have pathways, ants know how to build bridges, if not using twigs and steel and all those things, but at least they know that how to make bridge and allow other ants to pass out. And also, if you look at all these things, you will start thinking how intelligent ants are. Have you ever seen any human beings, holding their hands and legs and hands and legs and making a bridge on which hundreds and thousands of human beings will walk? No, we are not that intelligent. We are egoists. So that is what you have to remember. Why am I telling you this? Is for a reason that you understand. Although we have this misunderstanding that we are the supreme human animals, we are integral part of ecosystem. That is what we have to remember. Because of our supremacy feeling, we have created all these things all around us in the form of buildings, in the form of lots of infrastructure that requires lots of natural resources. And when we are becoming happy and happy, we started breeding like rats, to tell you very frankly. When everything was coming into picture and we were becoming relaxed and all those things, we started breeding like rats. And today the human population is almost about more than 7.4 billion individuals. And at the beginning of the last century, that was at the beginning of the 20th century, we were less than 3 billion. Now imagine in 100 years, we have almost about 60% increase we have seen. If you pay attention towards the population increase, then you will see that in the last quarter century, that is almost about in 25 years, we have increased like anything. Our population is increasing, human population is increasing, and by increasing population, although you might be knowing that Indian population is not increasing, and China has one child policy and all such kind of things, we are controlling our population. But unfortunately, that is only at certain levels. But at the global level, if you see, the human population is increasing like anything. When you increase human population, the pressures of the requirement of natural resources increases manifold. For example, if there is, say, in your pantry, in your kitchen, you have a rice bag that is worth 10 kilograms of rice, and that is enough for 1 month for a family of 4 individuals. If I'm just giving you example. So if that is the case, and suddenly tomorrow your your uncle comes in with another 4 individuals, and they are planning to stay with you for a month's time. So what would happen? Another 4 individuals have been added to your family, and your resources is 10 kilograms of rice. And to how long it will come to affect? Effectively, you have added 4 more. You have doubled the human population here, and your resources is 10 kilograms. So only for 15 days it will come. You're getting my point. So now what happens is, for next 15 days you have to starve yourself or buy more. Because we have money, we will buy more. Simple. But how long are we going to do that? So you have to remember the natural resources that we have all around us is in limit. That's the reason why we learn about the renewable resources and non-renewable resources. The natural resources that we have all around us is limited. For example, you might be thinking, sir, how can we say that the food is limited? Do you know that the food has to be, for example, the grains, the rice, the paddy, etc., wheat, paddy, corn, etc., has to be grown by agriculturists. It doesn't grow naturally, so you have to grow that. Now when we have to grow, then you need to have agriculture farms, and the agriculture farms are also limited, right? When our population increases, people want more of agriculture land, so that more agriculture agri produce can be produced, so that you can feed the hungry mouths throughout the world. So you have to increase the agriculture field. Where are you going to increase the agriculture field? Can we go to moon, Mars, some other place and start doing agriculture over there? We know we cannot. We have to do it everything on this earth. So when we need more of agriculture land, then what we do? We need more of space for making homes, build houses, build towns, build villages, etc., etc. Where do we go? We don't go elsewhere. We go. We have to settle here only. So what do? We cut the forest and expand,
Yes, sir.
right? We are cutting the forest and expanding. Now you see that in urban ecosystem, for example, if all of you have, I hope that you are from Hyderabad, or I hope that you have seen Hyderabad for last 1 year, 2 years, or anything like that. You might have seen that how Hyderabad has expanded, or how large the Hyderabad city is, metropolitan city is. So people like us who have spent a lot of time in Hyderabad, or who have seen cities like this, we know that how it is expanding. For example, 400 years back, 440 years back, when Hyderabad was established, we started with a small township which was 6.25 kilometers, square kilometer in its expanse, all around Charminar. That's all. Hyderabad was that much. 440 years, 420 plus years ago, Hyderabad was just a small town or city surrounding Charminar area. That is Hyderabad. And today, if you go and wanted to see what Hyderabad is, we have almost about more than 16,000 square kilometers under Hyderabad limits. So just imagine, from 6.25 kilometers to about 10 years back, 625 square kilometers, to now almost about 13,000 to 14,000 square kilometers. So if I have to travel across Hyderabad, I have to spend almost about 2.5 hours cutting from northern boundary of Hyderabad to southern boundary of Hyderabad. So what is happening? The simple example, simple understanding is, all the forest that was surrounding in this area has been converted either into agricultural lands or into real estate. You might have seen when you go to your villages, you might have seen in your villages, when we were young, you used to walk through rice paddy fields, etc., etc. Now you walk through real estate. So that is how the changes have happened. And when these changes happen, habitats get impacted. When habitats get impacted, lot of pressure is put on the other biota, than human beings. Although human beings are also under pressure, because you know that there were many agricultural farmers or families who have converted their lands into real estate, and they are able to eat for one generation, not more than that. They buy big cars, they make big buildings, but where are they going to get their food from? So that is how we see that other animals, living organisms, along with human beings, is getting impacted because of all these activities that we are doing all around us. So, in answering your question, is that the way we are behaving, or the way we are, impacting the ecosystem or the world all around us, we are making this ecosystem and world more and more unlivable for all the living organisms, including human beings. Including human beings. You have to remember why is that gentleman, what is his name? Elon Musk is trying to find out, or planning to establish colonies of human beings on Moon, Mars, or whatever. Why is he planning to do that? It's simply for a reason that the earth is becoming more and more unsustainable. And do you think every one of us can afford to go there? we there are many of us who cannot even afford to buy a plane ticket from here to uh, Delhi. How are we going to go from here to Mars to establish our colony and be happy? So we have to understand that this is the only place, earth is the only place that is and that can be inhabited by life. We cannot find anything other than this place. So we have to take care of this particular thing. So yes, the conditions are becoming bad, the conditions are worse now. And all the living organisms, I'm not just restricting myself to endangered species, threatened species and all those things, all the living organisms are under stress. And the stress is what is really leading to the problems that we are facing today. Now you might be wondering, although you have started to go physically to the college and all those things, the physical classes have started, right? Yes. Not yet, or
Only online.
okay, only online. But in the universities, we have started the physical classes where the students come to us, and they have you have also seen that we have almost for 1.5 years we have locked down, and there were no classes, no interactions, etc., etc. So why has this happened? This has happened because of a problem called as COVID-19, and we know that where exactly it has come from, what exactly it is, and all those things. It is a virus disease, and we know that it has come from. It is a zoonotic disease. It comes from animals to human beings. Why did it come from animals to human beings? Because we are interacting with animals. We are making animals stressed. You have to remember that it is a virus. It is a virus which is similar to its behavior to the cold virus you and I have throughout our hundreds and hundreds of generation. The cold virus has got into human being and established itself. Now, when I say that the cold virus is in your body, the cold virus is in your body. Every one of us has that virus in us. What exactly happens? Why do we get cold infection? Many of us think that because the temperature has changed we get cold infection, or because I have gone walked in the rain, got my milk packet and came back without umbrella, I got cold infection. I exposed myself to this and that and also I got cold infection. It is not that. The cold infection comes in even for people who do not expose themselves to all these external factors. The cold will come to them. Simply you have to not feed yourself good food, nutritious food, or you have to get under stress. When you are working a lot, you are not drinking water properly, when you are not, your body immune system gets suppressed. When the immune system gets suppressed, the virus that is inside your body starts multiplying and it becomes, what you say, virulent. We call it as virulent. It becomes infectious. And when it becomes infectious, your virus load is too high in your body that it would come out of your drippings that comes out of your nasal passage. And when you're sneezing or when you do this and go handshake or use utensils and all those things, it is passing from your body to another body. So that is how COVID also came in. The COVID was very simple. It was very happily living in animals, but some human being has gone and interacted with that animal. Now it all the virus, coronavirus or any other virus, rhinovirus, any other virus, they are there in all the living organisms. But when they get stressed, they become virulent. When they become virulent, they start jumping from one organism to another. It's a simple thing. So what I am trying to tell you is, because of our foolish activities, foolishness of human species, we are creating so much of stress on other species that we are allowing those other species to get diseased, while and in turn infect us, because we are not only creating problem to them, stressing them out by cutting all the forest and saying that you don't have any house to live in, we'll cut all your forest and convert into real estate business. then where are these animals gonna go? They will be under stress, and every night they will come to your colonies to eat because that was their home earlier. Where are they going to go unless and until you kill them? And human beings have also done that. They have started killing them. So organisms die. For example, if I kill, say, 10 dogs in my colony, I kill them and I let them rot there. Although, in municipal areas we don't do that, but I'm just making an example. We let them rot there. So what is going to happen? The flies are going to sit on them. They are going to feed. They are going to come and sit on your vegetables or your fruits or your plates. They are going to cross infect, and you will get the infection. Or you have lots of parasites that would jump because the animals are dead. Nobody wants to. Any parasite would want to live on a living organism. No parasite would live on a dead organism, and the parasite is going to jump from that dead organism to another living organism. And if in that ecosystem only human beings are there because we have killed the animal and morning walk we are going for walking, right? Naturally, what is going to happen? Those parasites are going to jump and bite you. When they bite you, they are going to put the virus into your body. So you just see that small things that we think that is not going to make difference is really making difference. So the world is increasingly becoming non what you say habitable to all the living organisms, including human beings, right? So that is the answer to your second question. Yes.
So, the last question is, what is the main purpose do you think about IUCN Red?
Yeah. See, IUCN Red List as such, if we look at this particular thing, we have to understand what exactly IUCN is. So IUCN is nothing but the International Union for Conservation of Nature. Earlier, we used to call ourselves as International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. But later, we have dropped the word natural resources and we have just said we are dealing with nature. I'm talking to you in terms of we for a reason that I am part of IUCN, and that's the reason why whenever I speak about IUCN, all those things, I am speaking on our behalf. So, IUCN as such, we started in 1948, although I was not born at that time, I'm not that ancient, but our organization was born in 1948 out of the concern that we started having towards humanity, having towards what is really happening to nature and natural resources. And then we came into picture to have a kind of, collective wisdom from the human society who are having similar kind of, belief or similar kind of understanding to know about what exactly is the status of our nature and how this can be protected for future. So that is how we started, and then we started as, and we usually, although we are now recognized as an international body, but we recognize ourselves as an international non-governmental organization. We are an NGO, and uh, and this movement has become a very impactful movement, which has gone about bringing lots and lots of understanding, because IUCN with open arms, it welcomes everybody who has good understanding and good knowledge about nature, conservation, etc., to bring them in and get the best of the best wisdom from people all around the world. So we have almost about presence in 160 plus countries wherein the IUCN offices are located. India also has one IUCN office located in New Delhi. We also have 211 odd, state and governmental bodies that are part of IUCN. We also have more than 200 plus, what do you say, NGOs and indigenous people representatives in the IUCN, and we also have 18,000 plus, research scientists and researchers and people who are intellectuals who are members of this IUCN. So it's a very, very huge, organization that has offices, that is a structured office, but also has, large membership in the form of I am member of, at least 6 or 7 different groups that IUCN has, and but I work in Osmania University as a professor, as a scientist. So we scientists, professors, academicians, barefoot workers, researchers, field workers, all of us come together and form the IUCN. So now IUCN works through commissions. There are 6 commissions. These commissions have different mandates. For example, one commission that deals with education and communication, because it is important. I'm speaking to you. Why should I speak to you? Simple. Why should I speak to you? Do I want to impress Rida, Fortuna, and Shiny, or 50 or 500 students of St. Francis College? No, it becomes important for me to speak to you, even 3 of you, 5 of you, or 500 or 5,000 of you, to speak to you, to make you aware that what exactly is the problem. Because the understanding that I have, the understanding that my colleagues have, needs to be made understood to you. It needs to be communicated to the public, and that is the reason why I'm speaking to you. And that is one of the mandate of IUCN education and communication, that to create awareness among people, general public, that why we need to take care of all these things, why we need to understand and take care of all these things, so that in future we can live a better lives. That is one. The second is we also have something called as CEESP, and that is the Environmental, Economic, and Social Policy Convention. We have Species Survival Commission. We have World Commission on Environmental Law. We have World Commission on Protected Areas. These are the 6 different kind of commissions that are existing, and of which the important commission, I would say all of them are important. From my point of view, I belong to Species Survival Commission. So we are working with Species Survival Commission, and under the Species Survival Commission we have many specialist groups. So I don't know whether you people know about me in deeper or not, but I am a member of Chiroptera Specialist Group, and when I say Chiroptera Specialist Group, it is called as Bat Specialist Group. So my expertise on working on bats made me the member and country representative for India in the Bat Specialist Group. So that way, I deal with the Red List Specialist Group, I deal with the Viper Specialist Group, and I am also with Conservation Planning Specialist Groups, CPSG. So in these 4 specialist group, I am member, and I give my recommendations, my suggestions, my understanding, etc., so that we can make this world a better place to live in. Now, your question was the IUCN Red List. Why was it important for me to tell you about IUCN? Is to make you understand that IUCN is not a small thing. IUCN is a big giant. We are a lot of educated and wise people who have been working together for many years now. Since 1948, we had been, moving forward towards doing lots of things to make the general society understand what exactly is the problem and how we are going to solve this problem. See, we are not just highlighting the problem, but we are also giving the solution to these problems. Among the many things that we are doing that deals with all these things that I have told you about, ecology, economic, social policy, environmental law, education, communication, species survival, and all such kind of things, we are also wanting to create a kind of document that tells us what is the status or health of any ecosystem or any species. When I say health, it is not the physical health that we are talking about, but whether the species or this I'm sorry, whether the species or this ecosystem would survive, or what kind of pressures this it has, etc., etc. In that way, for making those things clearer, we had been doing two red listing processes. Red list is a list of, you know, things that have been red flagged. That means when do we put red flag? When there is a danger. Simple. So, when we are putting a red flag on a particular species, or when we are putting a red flag on a particular habitat, etc., etc., that shows all the people, all the governments, all the peoples or citizens of this world that this species or this habitat is under threat. It is under danger. That's the reason why we say endangered, right? It is usually we call them as threatened. So these things are threatened, and we have to start taking care of these, or else it will lose them. So IUCN, under the Species Survival Commission and World, Commission on Protected Area, we both work together, and we have brought out two kind of red lists. One red list is on habitats, and the other red list is on threatened species. So you will come across red list on critical habitats or threatened habitats, and red list on threatened species. So the red list of threatened species is something that is a list of all the threatened species that are present in world. Now the biggest question is, did scientists, all of us, have completely or complete knowledge about all the species that are present on this earth? No. No biologists, none of us collectively have everything known about all the species that are living on this earth. The current understanding is we know only 50% of all the living species on this earth. That simply means another 50% are yet to be discovered, understood, named, etc., etc. That is an entirely different aspect of science, wherein many of us are working on these new species, describing new species. For example, I have discovered and described three new species of lizards, or one new species of my, along with my scholars, one new species of fish, one new species of spider from Telangana itself. So that simply means that there are many new species, or there are many species that are yet to be described, yet to be known, and people are working on that. At the same time, we also have species that we have knowledge about, and those are under threat. So IUCN is focusing on this thing, like we need to assess. That means just like when you complete your semester portion syllabus, once the semester is done, we assess you how much you have understood by conducting either internal examinations as well as in combination with semester end examinations. So what are we doing? We are assessing you to know how much of knowledge you have gained, right? Although in colleges and something else happens, but we are assessing you at least to understand how much you have understood what we have given to you. So that kind of assessment gives us clear cut idea. Some of us get 70% and above marks. We are happy. We say that, okay, these students are having good understanding. They have understood the concept very well. And some of us do not get. We get less than the passing marks, less than the 30 percentage. Then what happens? We are going to detain them. Although we don't do that, all those kind of things, but we detain them. What does it mean? You have to undergo this process once again. You have to repeat that course once again. What exactly is happening is, when we are detaining anybody, we are putting a red flag saying that this student is having some problem in understanding the concepts that we are teaching, right? So those students, we are going to pay special attention. We are going to give them special classes. We are going to, although system doesn't work like that. You might be wondering, sir, what are you talking? Nobody does all these kind of things. They ask us to come and attend the tutorials and all those things, and once we join the tutorial, and unfortunately with the same kind of interest, we get good marks. So that is entirely different thing. But at present, what we have to understand is how we are assessing. So what we do, whatever species that we are aware of, we will be assessing them. Now, what is this process? This process is called as assessment process. This assessment can be locally done, this assessment can be regionally done, or this assessment can be globally done. Who is going to do the assessment? People like us who are trained in assessing. We have any number of questions that needs to be answered, and we get the training. And for the past 2.5 decades, we have been doing that. We are knowing about it. So people like us who get training and who have understanding about how the assessment is done, we will conduct a workshop with all the people who have knowledge. There are biologists who have knowledge. There are field workers who have knowledge. There are IFS officers who have knowledge about tigers, where tigers go, what it eats, etc., etc. We bring all of them together and put them in one place, and we ask them these questions. Do you know how often tiger breeds? Do you know how many cubs the tiger gives birth to? Do you know how many of these cubs become successful in becoming adult and then breeding once again? All such questions we ask them and bring lots of information. And then we say, okay, in Telangana, what is the problem that the tiger is facing? They will say, in Telangana the tigers do not have good protected area network, or they are being killed, they are being poached, this, that. Why are they being poached? We ask n number of questions and we get the information, and we start looking at whether the tiger has direct threat because of human beings, or the tiger has indirect threat. Because when I say indirect threat, I am not killing the tiger directly. Human beings are not killing the tiger directly, but I am killing the animals that the tiger eats, or I am removing the forest in which the tiger lives. So that is an indirect. So that way I am going to assess, get information and assess, and then we start thinking, okay, what would happen if the threats are going to continue for the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? Or what would happen if the threats are going to continue for next 3 generations of the animal that we are assessing? 3 generations of tiger is like at least next 5 years, right? Or yeah, let's say 5 years, 5 to 7 years. In next 5 to 7 years, what would happen if the threats are going to continue? And next 3 generations, 7 years or 10 years, what is going to happen if the tiger is not able to breed? Then the tiger's population will crumble. Our studies have very clearly shown that almost about 30 to 40% of the species that we have assessed globally do not have enough information for which, basing on which we can assess them completely. We call them as data deficient species. We do not have any data. Somebody has discovered them, and after that, nobody has seen them. We cannot, what you say, declare it as extinct, because for declaring it as extinct, at least 25 years of dedicated survey needs to be done. If we don't find this particular species, then we declare it as extinct. Without that, we cannot declare it as extinct. So there are rules and regulations. So almost about 40% of the species that we have assessed, we know that we do not have enough information, so we keep them as data deficient. When we make them data deficient, what exactly it means? It means that people like you in future, zoologists like us, biologists like others, botanists like others, who are wanting to contribute new things to science, we can focus on those species, because nobody has seen them. Nobody has any information about it. So if you can make it your life goal to go and study those species, try to find out whether the species are existing or not, etc., etc., you contribute to science. You are giving something new to science. So that becomes very important. And then we say that if the species is widespread, and although there are threats, but the threats are not going to impact these species. For example, human beings. We thought that COVID is going to do the human beings down, cut the human population to 50% or something like that. We were all scared, saying that biological warfare, now populations are going to die. India is going to become 50% of its population. World is going to lose 60% of its population. So, but if at all we lose 60% also, there is 40% of individuals who are left and who will breed, and we will not become extinct. That is what we have to remember. Why are we not going to become extinct? Because we are so populated. Our population is almost as huge as 7.5 billion individuals. Not only that, we are spread throughout the world. If the whole world gets infected and there is a small island on which 200 human beings have survived, which did not get the COVID and we survived. Those 200 individuals in next 100 years will become 2000 individuals. In next 2000 years, they will become 2 million individuals. Simple. So we will not become extinct. So that's the reason why we call species like us as least concerned species. Least concerned species. Then we have species that have some kind of threat on them. Then we call them as near threatened species. And then we have species that have threat on them. Near threatened species are species that have threats, but the threats are not impacting the species so vigorously that they will become extinct in next 50 years. So we have to work on them, but okay, they are in safe zone. But the species that gets into threatened category are the species that are very, very important for us. Like we in the threatened category also we have three subcategories that are: first is vulnerable, which is relatively safe. Second is endangered, and the third one is critically endangered. Now, how do we assess these things as vulnerable, endangered, and critically endangered? Although we know that they are threatened species, again, depending upon the impact of threats, how it is impacting them in the future, what was the impact in the past, and how whether or not the species is going to survive in future. So what time frame it has, etc., etc. Depending upon that, we categorize the species as vulnerable or endangered or critically endangered. Now you see, endangered is a part of threatened category. So that is what you have to remember. That's the reason why today when we are speaking about an endangered species, we ask them very clearly, are you wanting us to speak only about endangered species of IUCN, or you are wanting us to talk about the threatened species of IUCN? Because threatened species also has vulnerable, which is relatively safer than endangered species, and critically endangered species that are critically endangered. They are one step ahead of endangered species that will become endangered in next, or that will become extinct in next 25 years. We always give a smaller time frame, but we say 25 in next 25 years. If the threats going to continue, they will become extinct. So that is how the flagging or assessment is done. And beyond this, we also have species that are extinct in wild, but they are surviving in zoological gardens or botanical gardens or some small collections, etc., etc. We have some examples like that, like we have Przewalski's horse, or we have Nene's goose, etc. They have become extinct in their natural habitats, but because in the past people like them, they have brought in and they have started breeding them in zoological parks or private collections, they have survived. For example, Nene's goose is surviving, or Przewalski's horse is surviving wonderfully well, or in England, whereas in the natural range of the species has become extinct. Now we are doing breeding program here and we are releasing them in the wild. So extinct in wild means in wilderness, in their natural ranges, in natural habitat, they are not found, but they are found in herbaria, not herbaria, they are found in botanical gardens, or they are found in private collections or in zoological parks. So they are being bred and they will be sent back to the and then finally we have something called as extinct. Extinct simply means gone, gone forever. The best example is dodo, and the examples that you can relate with is all the dinosaur characters that you have come across in the Jurassic World and Jurassic Park movie series. So that is how we see that, how we do the assessment, and how the IUCN threatened category comes into play, and how exactly the threatened category species needs to be paid attention towards. So before I just end up answering that question that you have asked, the third question, that how do we look at these threatened categories, I'll just give you an example of a particular species of bat that on which we have been working. In 2000, when we started to know about this particular bat when I did the assessment for this particular bat in 2000. So we were looking at a bat species that was known from two localities in Karnataka, and we knew that this bat was the youngest bat species, youngest in the sense that we, at that time in 1994, it was discovered, and in 2000 we were kind of, assessing it. So it was a youngest bat species at that time, and then we knew that it is known from only two locations, and no other information was available on that. But we knew that these bats are being collected for research. These bats are being collected, or not the same bat, or the similar kind of bats are being collected from these two locations quite often for research. And we also have found out that the habitats around this, the places where the bats were living, were under threat because of urban expansion. People are doing lots of activities that are impacting the habitat, because in the habitat, if you are using lots of pesticides, bats eat insects, and when they eat pesticide laden insects, they will die. Bats breed once a year, only one pup, if but the whole generation gets affected. So all these things we kept in mind, and then we said that because they are known only from two locations, then they were qualifying for certain things, then we assess them as endangered species in 2000 assessment, which was published in 2003. So 2000 assessment, we made it as endangered species, but in 2013, after lots of works, efforts, etc., etc., our team wanted to find out what is exactly the status, because 13 years have passed. I have tried to locate them, but I could not find them because of various reasons. My focus of research was Andhra Pradesh, North Karnataka, and all such kind of things. But in 2013, my scholars, along with my wife, who is a bat scientist, I told them, I have a dream. I wanted to know about these things. In 2000, I did this assessment. I want to know whether the bats are still existing or not. What exactly is the status and all those things. And they said, yes, sir, challenge taken. We'll go and try to find out. And in 2013, we found out, my team has found out that of the two places which they surveyed, they found bat only at one place. And when they found out that it is found in only one place, and in the on the hillock on which the bat was found, we found that the hillock was all disturbed, quarrying was happening, and all those things. Lots of direct threat to the bat colony was happening. So we decided to do scientific study of that area carefully. From 2013 to 2016, we did regular surveys. We found out what threats are impacting and all those things. And in 2016, if I'm not mistaken, we have published a paper and reassessed it, because I know how to assess. My wife is also, the IUCN Red List assessor. So we both sat together and we assessed it as critically endangered, because we knew that it occurs only in one place, and the population, the total adult population of this bat was less than 500 individuals. We counted only 250 to 300 individuals of this bat living anywhere on this earth. So we made it as critically endangered species. So you just see that how information, baseline information, how data that comes from research and all those things helps us to assess any species. And once we have made it as IUCN critically endangered species, we took this information to government of Karnataka to bring in banning of mining activity in that area. We brought in protection of that area, and today in 2019 January, we have got that area declared as a conservation reserve, protected area. Nobody can enter that area. Even if I have to go and study that bat, I will not be able to do that. I cannot just walk into that bat cave and start studying the bat. I will be breaking the law. So that way, IUCN threatened species listing or activity that we are doing helps us in protecting the species. Now, this polar leaf nose bat is one example that tells us that how we found out what exactly was wrong with this particular bat species, how this bat species was being impacted indirectly as well as directly, and we brought in all the scientific information. IUCN Red List assessment has been done, and once the assessment was published, we took all these things and went to the government to declare this bat as a species that requires protection and to declare the area as protected area. So now the government of Karnataka, appreciating the efforts done by Osmania University researchers, has declared it as a protected area. At the same time, if I have to go back there and do study, I will not be allowed unless and until I have a permission letter from government of Karnataka saying that I can work on that particular species of bats. So that is what IUCN threatened species assessment does to any species. When we say a particular species is threatened, critically endangered or vulnerable in a particular area, and if at all that is for the global distribution occurring only in that particular region, then it becomes the priority and responsibility of that particular government. Because Kolar leaf nose bat does not occur anywhere in the world excepting Kolar district and that particular village, it becomes the responsibility of government of Karnataka to take care of that. It becomes a responsibility of district administration and forest department of Karnataka to take care of it. Telangana government will not do anything, right? Or government of India has to take care of it. Nobody else will take care of it. Government of USA will not come and protect this particular species of that. For a reason that this is your property, you have to take care of it. And again, it becomes a national pride. For example, India has to protect tigers, not just because tiger is the national animal. Okay, we have declared tiger as national animal. Not just because we have declared tiger as national animal of India, we have to protect tiger, because 80% of the tiger population occurs in India. We have to protect tiger. So tiger is Indian. So it has India passport. So we have to protect tiger. Pakistan will not protect, or other countries will not protect, because it belongs to India, so India has to protect it. So that way, when we are doing the threatened category assessment, or when we are red flagging any species or any habitat, we are putting the responsibility and onus on the local citizenry, local government to take care of that. Although at the international level, we are creating an awareness. There is a buzz. For example, now whatever works we have done, it has got an international recognition. Like saying that, okay, Srinivasulu and Srinivasulu or Srinivasulu family has done these works, and it has international recognition. There's no doubt about it. And international pressure is also there on government of India, saying that, okay, people have taken into recognition that, okay, this bat occurs in only one place, this population is less than 200 individuals, and all those things. If I'm just talking to you, nobody will understand. But when I publish a research paper and policy document, international people will also understand, and lots of pressure comes on local governments to take care of these organisms. And that is what the IUCN Red List for threatened species is doing. Not only giving you information of what is under threat, how it is under threat, etc., but also driving the policy making at the local level, at the government level, right? So I don't know whether you people have gone through the IUCN Red List, but you can just Google search IUCN Red List, and you will see the Red List database, which is open for everybody to use. Go there and you can just see that, any species that you are interested in, just type in the name in the search box. Like if you are interested in knowing about Panthera tigris, search in Panthera tigris and click the search button. You will get the information whether the Panthera tigris has been assessed as endangered species. I know it is endangered species, and if it is endangered species, basing on what it has been assessed as endangered species. We give every piece of information to make it why it is endangered species, and it is an open document. Any scientist can go and check and say, no, you have done wrong, and they can raise a concern, and we will revisit and we'll incorporate and reassess that species. You can also do something like go to IUCN Red List database and search Chelmala Srinivasulu. Or because my wife's name is also there, my son's name is also there, so you can search Srinivasulu, you'll get all the three of us names populating there. Or if you just want to know what I have contributed, you can search that. So you will just see that how we do all these things, how the red list helps in driving decision making, driving policy, driving conservation actions, etc., etc. Okay, so that was the answer to your third question.
Thank you, sir. And
Yeah.
How can we as youngsters or people in general help conservation biologists like you to make an impact or a change?
One of the major things that we have to understand is the first step towards making conservation or is living responsibly. Anything that you are doing, live responsibly. That is one of the messages that I would like to give to everyone. Second important thing that you have to know about is we as living organisms are an integral part of this ecosystem, and every living organism on this earth, be it a small bacteria or a blue whale, every living organism has right to live. In no way we as individuals should, human species should be impacting their life. We should not be the reason for their extermination. So that is what you have to remember. Compassion thinking is what will make you good conservation biologists in future. You don't have to have degrees to become conservation biologists, right? What would the youngsters do? What can the youngsters do? Youngsters can create more awareness. Youngsters can understand what exactly is impacting these organisms. You can take up courses, you can interact with people like us, take up courses to increase your understanding about what things are happening, right? You might be thinking that just because I am a PhD or I am a scientist, I am a professor, people listen to me. It is not like that. If you know what exactly you're doing, people will listen to you. For example, my son is now just starting his PhD work, but when he started, he right from class 5 onwards, he had been speaking, talking to people that why conservation is important, why you need to conserve, and all such kind of things. So if you have information, if you have knowledge, you will speak with conviction and convey the message across society. So that kind of thing you need to keep in mind. So every one of us, be it very young or be it very old person, we have to take up this responsibility only for the reason that this is the only place on which we can survive. Nowhere else. Let Bezos talk nonsense, with all due respect, or let Elon Musk say that we will establish. But I don't think that they are going to take any one of the conservation biologists with them. Keep aside all the students, right? They will not take. We do not have money to buy ticket, or they will not be coming to us and say, Dr. Srinivasulu, you have done a wonderful job. Let me take you so that you will not die on this earth. If he offers, I will not go, but he will not offer to me because I don't have money. Why would he offer anything? So just imagine that, this is the only home that we have. And this home we need to protect. And as youngsters, we have to start behaving responsibly, and we have to act. We should never say that oh mera problem nahi hai, let it go. If somebody is cutting tree, stop. And they say that you cannot cut the tree, then they will say, who are you to stop me? I am a citizen of India to stop you. I am a citizen of Hyderabad to stop you. I know that if you are going to cut this tree, I can book you under Volta Act. When you say Volta Act, call police and tell, ring up 100. Police wala will come. Ledamma, this is their land. Let them cut. You say, police, I will book you under Volta Act. I'm recording this. I'll book you under Volta Act. You are not stopping this. So when you know what is the provision that government has provided us for protection of animals, protection of plants, protection of environment, etc., etc., you would be in position to command and say that okay, this can be done. So the simple answer is, how youngsters can help in conservation and all those things, become knowledgeable about all these acts, what government of India has put in, what government of Telangana and local governments have put in. All these acts you have to be aware of and start behaving responsibly. When I say responsibly, if you see somebody hurting animal, you have, there is an act that says prevention of cruelty against animal. You have the act. Not only that, you also have act against human cruelty also. So behave, when you have all this knowledge, you know that okay, this is my right, our right. So get the knowledge first, understand those nuances, how exactly it functions and all those things. If somebody is cutting trees, somebody is hurting animals, somebody is hunting, illegal poaching, etc., call a forest department, call helpline, tell them this is it. If somebody, you see a snake that needs to be rescued, call up friends of snakes or animal activists. And so that is how you are going to become more and more involved in conservation actions, conservation activities. And get volunteer, go there in free time, go there, go to those NGOs, come to our university, visit us, and work with us. Then you will learn how exactly conservation works happen and all those things. And then take it forward, make it a passion, make it a passion. Full stop, that's all. You have to have that love for doing conservation. Then you will become a real conservation biologist or conservation scientist. Without the passion, you cannot. And why should you become passionate about it? Why?
because it affects us as well.
That's it, because that is going to help me live happily, isn't it? If the world is happy, I'll be happy. If somebody is burning in front of me, tree is being cut in front of me, so I'll be unhappy. So I need to have that compassion within me to respect life all around me, so that I cannot be happy. I cannot be happy when other human beings and other animals, other plants are getting impacted by my activities. So that is what we need to do. So I hope that you have understood what exactly my message is.
Alright, so we are done with this session, sir. Thank you for
Okay. One request is, like, whatever you write, whatever you are doing, reporting and all those things, send me a copy of that so that I can also see how much you have understood.
Sure, sir.
Yes? Yeah, yeah.
yes, sir.
Right? Yeah. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Thank you. Take care.